Hello, today I'll be talking about common misconceptions about Zatanna. Misconception number 1, that she needs to speak in order to do her magic. I cover this all the time, so once more isn't gonna hurt. But it's very important to me that you guys understand that in her first appearance, her first debut appearance, Hawkman number 4 in 1964, Zatanna teleports this statue, this one here, and then this cup from 2 different locations into Hawkman's museum without speaking. She had lost the ability to speak properly forwards, let alone backwards, and says so here that with the last traces of her magic, in her divided body, she teleported the statue and the bowl, with no verbal spell. It's also important to note that in every reboot and every era of DC, post-Crisis, Flashpoint, New 52, Rebirth, she has performed spells non-verbally. Misconception number 2. People are very hung up on what to call Zatanna. So to clear that up, she doesn't really have a specific thing that you call her. She herself has been referred to as a mage, magician, a sorceress, a witch. All are appropriate and correct. DC does not divide the magic names into different categories like it's common in other fictional or fantasy settings. So any term for a magic user technically does apply, because there isn't a set distinction. It's okay to call her a witch, magician, mage, sorceress, whatever. Misconception number 3. Zatanna is literally not a copy of Wanda Maximoff. They are often portrayed as counterparts, but to say Zatanna is a copy is very much disproven by the fact that Zatara exists. Zatanna is a legacy of her father Zatara, who debuted in 1938. Wanda Maximoff debuted a few months before Zatanna in the year 1964. And when Wanda debuted, she didn't even have magic powers. She just had probability manipulation, and wouldn't gain magic powers for I think it was another 10 years or something like that. Whereas Zatanna, on the other hand, has always had magic because that's what Zatara had, and again, she's a legacy of him, so she was based off of Zatara, not Wanda. Just because they're both women and do magic doesn't mean they're copies of each other. Just because they're counterparts doesn't mean they're copies of each other. Misconception number 4 is Zatanna is not Roma. She's not Romani. This is perpetuated by a lot of misinformation, primarily fueled by the Batman Streets of Gotham. In that story, Hush refers to the Zataras with the G slur, calls them carnies, circus folk, etc., mostly on the premise that they are stage performers and do magic. This is the only time anyone has ever referred to them as that, and it was very much more of a racial stereotype as opposed to a confirmation of her racial and ethnic identity. Zatanna and Zatara themselves have only ever claimed Italian descent, and descent from the Homo Magi. That's all the end, goodbye.